This is the Lyndsay Stafford Show.
All right, welcome back to the Lyndsay Stafford Show, featuring local legends here in Middle Tennessee. And I am here today with my guest, Austin Boylen, and we are going to talk through a lot of fun things as it relates to business and his cinematography business. So if you are an aspiring entrepreneur or you're into video, this will be a great episode for you. But we're also going to talk about the hot topic of AI and leveraging that for business in lots of different ways. So you'll want to listen to the end because we're going to give you some really good stuff here. So thanks for tuning in. And Austin, it's such a pleasure to have you on. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, so I'm really excited that you're here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lyndsay.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
It's going to be great. So Austin, tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I'm a freelance cinematographer, camera operator, videographer. Those are kind of some
longest intro ever.
Yeah, longest intro ever. Those are kind of different positions in the film industry. Cinematographer, they're kind of responsible for like the look of a project, the lighting, the lens selection, things like that. Camera operator operates the camera. And then a videographer is someone that actually kind of like produces the video, works with the client. They might edit, they might show up and run audio and do the camera. They kind of do it all. So I kind of dance around from those three different positions. And primarily most of my work, I'm a freelance camera operator. So I work for like big network shows and things like that. So I've done shows like the Kentucky Derby for NBC, and I've worked on some shows for NASCAR and the Country Music Awards, a lot of stuff here in Nashville. And so that's a lot of fun.
I bet.
But what I've really enjoyed throughout my evolution in my career is more of the videography aspect and using all of those different tools and aspects that I've learned from the industry as a videographer to help local businesses and individuals strive.
Yeah. And
because I think video is the most powerful medium that we have in existence today.
Yeah.
You've got print, you've got online ads and things like that. But I think video is hands down, it's the most impactful medium that one can use. And I think there's a lot of value in that. And that gets me excited. And being able to harness that power with video, I think is pretty cool. And to be able to help businesses and individuals really inspires me.
Yeah, I love that. I want to ask so many questions, so I'm going to have to pace myself. No, there's just so much. I'm so fascinated, and I agree with everything that you're saying. Video is so powerful and so important. It's one of the reasons that we do video record my podcast, because videos tell a story, right? And I think one of the other things we talk about with podcasting, it's so true with video, is you're documenting its memories. You're documenting things for future generations that they can go back and see. And recently, this is actually very interesting. Recently, my sister has discovered old videos of our childhood at our grandparents' house, and like these events. I guess one of my aunts had it transitioned or turned into something we can watch now. I don't know. I haven't seen it all, but she's been sharing these clips of these old videos, and there's something so magical that you cannot replace the power of video. And this is like my grandfather, who's been gone now for almost 18 years, and we're able to see him.
Yeah.
There's such
it's
a
amazing.
powerful piece.
It's
in
interesting
video.
you brought that up too, because
really?
I've got another side business too where I digitize people's media.
Oh.
I digitize analog like VHS tapes and older media. So we could talk about that later on. But yeah, no, it is amazing to be able to go back and just look at those memories at any point. And once you've digitized them, you can have them on an iPad and just go back immediately and just, see grandpa, or
it's right there.
See yourself when you were a baby, and see your aunts and uncles and people that have passed and gone on, and be able to hear their voice again. And the video brings back the feeling that you had when you were there too. And like the smells and the sounds. And it's like, it's so, as opposed to just looking at a photo,
it's so
it's
true.
just so much more immersive. And that's honestly, that's why I'm in this industry. I think video is amazing for so many different reasons.
You're so passionate about it. A long time ago, I took our VHS. This is, maybe 12, 13 years ago. My parents' VHS tapes went where they were getting ready to move actually to Nashville. Is when we were living in Maine still. My parents were in Maine. They moved to Nashville, and I went in the basement and found all the videos, VHS tapes, and I sent them somewhere. This is, again, back in the day. And they turned them into DVDs. So we have DVD copies, but we need to digitize them. So that's
now we're
amazing.
at the point where we need to digitize the DVDs. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Like 10, 15 years ago, you know, DVDs, Blu-rays, you know, that was the standard that everybody was moving to. And now it's just, you know, it's just digital files.
Yeah.
And so now we need to convert the DVDs over to just digital files.
Yeah. So maybe I'm going to have that done now. I didn't even think about that, but it's interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about how you got started doing what you're doing. So can you tell us about how you got into videography, cinematography, and all of
absolutely. I grew up on a pig farm in West Central Illinois.
Way.
My dad had 600 pigs when I was a kid. And so we were always busy with that. And there were, you know, they farmed grain too. And so there was always, you know, tractors, combine stuff coming in and out of our farm. And there was always something they were working on in the machine shed. And there was just always something to do. And it kept us very busy, like I said. And I enjoyed it, but I always knew that there was like something else that I was being drawn to. And I was fascinated with television. And back then, you know, before YouTube, you just kind of had like 3 channels. And you had NBC and ABC and CBS and maybe PBS. We didn't have cable TV till I was in middle school. But I was fast. I used to watch the CMA Awards. Like I would never miss it. I loved country music and getting to watch those shows always just inspired me. The magic of live television, of broadcast, how they can take all these different cameras and audio and bring it all together and spit it out invisibly, you know, through space. And then it comes back down to people's homes live in real time. Like that just, I don't know, it just fascinated me. And so I always wanted to do something around that. And so in high school, you know, I was always like making movies with my cousins and siblings and friends. And I was always like, you know, trying to have a camera in my hand, and I would film games for the local high school football team and just make highlight videos and stuff for them, like in high school. And I just loved it, and just kind of always knew like I wanted to be involved in the video industry somehow, some way. And eventually talked to my folks and told them that I wanted to go to film school, and they were all very supportive of me. And,
good.
And they took me to Nashville in 2009 and kicked me out of the car and basically said, good luck. It wasn't that dramatic. But I didn't know anybody when I moved here. You know, I just kind of had to make friends fast and network. And, you know, being a freelancer, that's something we can talk about maybe a little bit later on, but it can kind of be a challenge when you're first starting out. And so, you know, it was kind of rough, you know, right out of college here in Nashville when I was trying to get started and meet people. But after a lot of, you know, perseverance and hard work, I'm finally at a point now where the work just kind of comes. And there used to be times where I'd have to I would take a day and just use that day to network and send out emails and text people and just kind of remind them like, hey, I'm here. Like if you need some help, let me know. I'm still around, you know. And now I don't really need to take those days anymore. The work just kind of comes, and most of it's from word of mouth, and a lot of it's showing up and doing a good job, and knowing your stuff. But it was a process to get to where I'm at now. But I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
Well, it's made you who you are. Okay, I have some questions about the farm before we talk about that.
Yeah.
600 pigs. How many acres did y'all have?
Well, there was about 80 acres of like farmland, and then the actual pig farm was like, it sat on like maybe 2 or 3 acres. There was like 6 or 7 big buildings that the pigs were in.
And are your parents still there?
Yeah, they're still back in Illinois, but they've moved on from the pig farm. Now they're into trucking.
Oh, okay.
And so my dad's got a trucking company, and I think they're up to like 80 trucks now.
Wow.
And drivers, and just keep growing. They can't get enough drivers to fulfill the position. So that's a good thing. But so we've moved on from the pigs.
Cool. Okay. So that's amazing though. I have you watched Clarkson's Farm?
I have not.
It's really good. I think it would probably resonate with you. So Jeremy Clarkson, he did that. I forget what show it is. I don't know him from like, I guess a race car show or something.
The name sounds familiar.
I guess I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch one show at night with my husband. That's it, a day. And it's usually something he's like, I think that you'll like this. We should watch this. So he knows what kind of stuff I'll be into. And if we don't have something to watch, it's Shark Tank. But
Nice.
this is, it's my favorite.
It's a great go-to.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's my favorite show ever. But I think you'll enjoy it. It's actually really funny. He buys a farm in England, and it's like him learning how to do all these things. And he's very funny. So anyways, that's a little something you might want to check out.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
So you came to Nashville in 2009. Do you remember like what did you do and how did you get to that first customer? My daughter started her own business. She's doing spray tans. So Tans by IG, that's Isabel's spray tan business. She turns 18. It's March right now while we're recording, and she turns 18 this month. And I'm so excited
That's awesome.
for her.
Who has a business before they turn 18?
I know. Like
that's incredible.
We got business, all the things. I've been helping her get all the things to get it legit. And so I'm so excited for her. But she got her first customer, like her first paying customer after doing a bunch to learn and free. And it was such an exciting moment to celebrate that. Do you remember that for you?
So I always started out as a freelancer. So I was always working for other cinematographers and directors and stuff like that in town. So when I first kind of ventured out and got my own clients, I guess one of the first clients that I had was a plastic surgeon in downtown Nashville. And I remember when I reached out to her about if she needed some video for her business, and she got back to me, and I didn't expect her to. I reached out to a lot of other companies that day, and she got back to me and she said, "Yes, I am so glad that you reached out. That's a great idea. You're right. We don't have a YouTube channel. We don't have any video on our website. I'd like to get together and talk about some video production." And just that feeling, that first time
she said yes.
I was like, whoa, this can work.
Yeah.
This outreach, all this time. I sent, 25 different emails, but one person got back to me. So there's some value here, in this reach out thing. So that was really inspiring. And we met and we hit it off, and now she has a YouTube channel. And she's up to, I think, 30, 40 different videos on her channel. And they're all about, like if you're coming in for a specific procedure, like what steps you should take, to prepare, like all the questions that you would used to call in and talk to the office, before you would go in are now answered in a video online. So we've just tried to make it as simple and easy for her clients as possible with the help of video.
Yeah.
And we're still working together to this day.
Wow.
And that was several years ago.
Yeah.
So it's exciting when you get that first fish, I'll call it.
Yeah.
And it inspires you, and you just want to keep going. And sitting here right now, I'm thinking about all the other stuff I can do later this afternoon to
wait, that word
to get more work. Like it's just, I don't know, like once you figure out something that you're good at, and you realize like you can bring a value to other people's lives with that skill set, it's really hard to not be inspired.
I don't think I could have said it better. I feel like that's like the whole philosophy behind why we do what we do is when you figure out how to do something you love and help other people by doing that and make a living doing it, that's like the best thing ever in the world.
And it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
I think that's like one of the best gifts in life is if you have an occupation where you wake up every morning and you don't dread doing it. Right. And you're excited to get out of bed to go start doing it. I think that's the biggest blessing one can have in this life. I've
done it both ways, and I totally agree that it's worth taking that leap to get there. And you started that way. So did you ever have a job working, obviously doing freelance, you worked for other people, doing this. Did you ever work outside of the farm before this?
I mean, I worked at a grocery store.
Okay.
In high school. I bagged groceries.
Yeah.
I did work for St. Thomas Hospital.
Okay.
When I first moved to Nashville and was in college and was still rubbing elbows and trying to get jobs with other big players in town, I still had to pay the bills. So I worked at St. Thomas in school. And,
what'd you do?
I did meal prep. And so I would work on the meal line and prep the meals. And then sometimes I would even take meals up to patients in hospice and have to deliver to them and stuff like that. So I did that for like 6 months and then realized, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I want to be out on a camera somewhere. I want to be doing a live show or be helping another director of photography in town or something like that. Like it was, it was just a job.
Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, it was a job.
So yeah, I have done some things outside of the film industry, but those have always just solidified the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's just, I'm so passionate for it, and it'd be hard to imagine myself doing anything else at this point. But
and you found your calling really young, which is pretty cool. It doesn't always happen for people. I know for me, it took me a while to figure out where my, true genius is and what I truly could add the most value for people. And it's pretty cool that you found that early, but we do have to go through those learnings early on of learning what we don't like in order to really appreciate the things that we do like and find that sweet spot. You talked a little bit about this with sharing your story of your first kind of client, is the power of video for business. And I want to dig into that a little bit. One of the things I do as I do consulting work and coaching work is help businesses with efficiencies. And there are a lot of businesses. And I think in today's world, the opportunity for efficiencies is tremendous across many, many different platforms because of all the technology and AI that we now have to be able to leverage. But for example, your example is perfect of how a business went from using their payroll, their people that are actually working in the office to explain things versus the power of video and repetition. And I'm a systems and operations girl. If there's something I'm going to do more than once, it needs to be on a system. There's got to be an autopilot for it to happen. My podcast is a good example. I do 1 day a month. I batch record. It has to be a system so that it's seamless in life, right? And video allows us to do that. Can you talk a little bit about how you've been able to help business owners leverage their resources through the power of video?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll go back to the plastic surgeon. I mean, I think that's a great example. Like I said, like back before she had the YouTube channel, people were calling into the office, asking her questions, like, do I need to fast before I come in, or, all this kinds of stuff. And it would tie up the front staff a little bit. And so to be able to put all of these questions and answers into a video form and just leave that on her YouTube channel, her front desk administration can now just send links to people that are kind of tiered towards their specific questions. And then, they're not bogging down, the clients aren't bogging down the front office before they're coming in for the procedure. They've got video online resource. And then after the procedure's over, there's videos for that as well. So it doesn't necessarily remove the interaction of the client with the provider, but it kind of frees up the provider's resources in a way to where they can hone in on what they do, more efficiently. And it kind of frees them up to focus on what they do best.
Right.
And so that's one example.
Yeah.
And video can be used for like efficiencies. Right now I'm working with a trucking company, and they want to make some videos to help train their new hires. So as opposed to the staff that's there, and they're trying to handle just the administration aspects of the business and the day-to-day operations. They don't have to spend time physically out in the yard with the new hire. They can just sit them down in a class and have them watch a few videos, and then that's taken care of within a few hours, or less. So there's just countless ways that videos help with efficiency, and beyond efficiency, videos can help scale a company if used properly.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I'd like to hear
events with it.
Yeah.
I mean, scaling with video, I think, is one of the most powerful resources available, because if I'm someone that's trying to maybe find maybe a car detailing business or something like that, I kind of want to see the facility. I kind of want to see maybe who's going to be cleaning my car, what soap are they using, when you go to a website and you read things in text, you kind of have to visualize it in your own mind and kind of just make these expectations in your own head of what you think the experience will be like. But when you see that in a video, and like when you see the owner of the business like talking to you directly as a potential customer, I think that really creates a personal connection, and it creates a lot of trust. And I think that's a great tool for bringing people in. And I think a lot of companies probably should be using video more.
Oh, for sure.
Just for almost every tactic in a way. Like I said, the potential with video is really, really limitless.
Where are some things that you think businesses don't use video enough that they should? By the way, I agree with you on the training piece. And that's like kind of even, I mean, gosh, back when I was in corporate, that used videos to train folks. But what's interesting, one of the things I do as I do consult with businesses is teach things that big companies do to smaller companies that, unfortunately, not everybody understands those philosophies or principles because they haven't experienced them. But it is something that big companies have been doing for a long, long time, is leveraging video to educate and teach and train. But what else? So tell me, where do you feel like it's like, well, why aren't people doing this with video?
I'll tell you the one thing. If you're a business and you've got a website and you don't have a 30-second introduction video on your main page, I think you're
missing out.
You're hurting yourself quite a bit. Whenever I'm shopping around online, or this is just me personally, maybe it's just my generation, but I like to watch videos. And a lot of times videos kind of sum everything up, and it's a quick, concise way to kind of get an understanding of how that business operates, or what type of service you're going to get, or what are their values, who are these people that I'm taking my car to, or whatever. I don't know. I love video, and like if I go to a website of a business and they don't have a video, I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, that they're not on top of it. They
haven't even taken that step in their marketing to create just one video. It could be a 30-second. And most people don't
have it.
It could just be it could be an iPhone video of someone just introducing themselves to their potential clients. But I think that's where, and especially in Tennessee, I've noticed there's a lot of businesses here that still are not utilizing video for their marketing. And to me, that's mind blowing.
I totally agree.
And I know we're in a digital world, and all we look at all day are videos, right? And we're constantly bombarded with television and ads and things like that. But it's still the most effective medium out there.
Yeah, you can.
For now.
I don't disagree.
Until something
else
comes along, AI or but
which we're going to talk about that too.
So if you're a small business in Middle Tennessee and you don't have at least a welcome video on your main page of your website that just kind of sums up who you are, what you provide, your values, I think you're hurting yourself.
And the majority of business owners don't. I'll tell you with all the work that I do with clients and the new clients coming in, inconsistent clients, they don't have that video.
That's inspiring to me, because as a videographer, I'm like,
send them my way.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, if I'm a business owner and I'm like, okay, well, I clearly need to do this because I'm listening to the podcast and I don't have this. What steps do they take? What would you encourage someone? Because I think for a lot of people, they don't do the thing because they don't know where to start with it, or they think it's like too daunting. So earlier, before we started recording, I was telling you that I'm going to write a book, and I actually started writing it today. And I have a rule when I decide I'm going to do something, I can't put it on a list and just wait. I've got to if it's happening in the near future, I need to start it now so that starting step is over, because so many of us, that holds us back from moving forward because we aren't sure where to start. So someone who's not sure, then they might think oh, I got to get hair and makeup and the lighting, and where am I going to do this, and what am I going to wear, and oh my gosh, that's too much, forget it, I'm just going to stick with what I have, is what happens with people. Or I'm not going to be able to afford it, how much is it? So what are the steps someone would take other than, hi, just reach out to you first? Can we schedule it? What would you tell somebody to do?
I still think, a lot of companies now too have started creating their own content, and that's fine. Whatever is effective for you. But I still think there's value in hiring a videographer and bringing in an outside perspective. and someone else that can take a look at your company and see your pain points and try to figure out a way to utilize video to alleviate those pain points. And so in terms of reaching out, I would, there's videographers like myself. There's a lot of other companies in town. I would just try to build a rapport with someone, just reach out, shoot them an email. A lot of creative people are just kind of sitting around waiting on the next thing to come in. And so they've got some time on their hands. So I would reach out and just start a conversation and focus on your pain points and like what you need to target with video, because video is kind of like the medicine to your issue in a way. It can be if it's produced and used effectively.
Yeah.
So I would kind of figure out like what your pain points are, like what areas you need to tackle with video, and then find a trusted local videographer and just reach out to them and start a conversation and vocalize to them your pain points and what you're trying to alleviate with video. And I think the videographer can work with you and help you overcome that. So it's just about starting a conversation.
Yeah. We're doing the initial reaching out to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about hair and makeup and all that stuff. Like that's stuff you can kind of figure out later on. It's mainly about what do you need as a company? What do you need video for in order to help you get past your issue, your problem?
And you shared with the plastic surgeon, it wasn't necessarily about gaining customers through their video. I'm sure it has helped them gain customers, but it was more about leveraging their resources in a better way through video.
Yeah.
And
we created a welcome video for them too.
Oh, good.
And it's one of the nicer pieces I think I've made. It's just my opinion, but it's on their website. It's on their main page. It's like 60 seconds, and it's the doctor, and she introduces herself and her staff, and they basically lay out their services and what they provide. And it's just a concise, quick little introduction video. And I think that when people come to the website and they see that, I think it does help them with their client acquisitions. It helps people make that decision. Like, yeah, I'm going to go with her, And so there's a lot of value in a video that's on someone's main website page that helps people make that decision. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can start with something small. And my guess is that a lot of folks don't know, people don't typically start a business because they want to run a business. They start a business because they want to do the thing that the business does. Like, I want to be a roofer. I want to be a videographer. I want whatever the thing is that the business does. And then they all of a sudden realize, wow, there's a lot of other things that, go with this. I think about my daughter starting her spray tan business, and she's like, okay, so we got to get the tent and the materials, and I got to learn how to do it. And that's it. And I'm just like, no, we got to have how you're going to keep your books, and how do you have it, business insurance. And there's the whole thing that has to happen in order, and marketing, all the things that have to happen with it. And so with this in particular, with video, it can help. They may not even know their pain point. They may not know what they need to do, but coming to you or someone who's an expert in the category, we'll talk about you because we're talking about you, and saying, this is what's going on in my business. You probably could go, here's what we can do for video to help. Like, I know it's almost like you're a consultant for them in some ways with how you can remedy issues through video.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of are, and you kind of have to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to kind of bill for things like that, I guess I'll say. But you are a consultant. You're an outside perspective.
Right.
And they're reaching out to me because they need help. They need to capture an event that they need to, highlight for the next 10 years or something, or they need a few more clients, or they need people to know about their new location, or whatever the cause might be. Video is the solution.
Yeah.
In my opinion, right now in this day and age, it still is, like I said, the most powerful medium we have. And so if you're a business and you've got some problems, I would look at video first.
See how you can help.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit. We talked a little bit before about how we're going to talk about AI, and there's so many ways to leverage it. What's the latest in your industry with artificial intelligence?
So one thing I've noticed is a lot of the softwares like Adobe and Motion Array and things like that now have a lot of integrated AI tools built in. So you could go out and film something on your own and then drop that footage into Adobe and it might edit something together for you.
Wow.
And if it's not the result that you're looking for, you just re-cue it and have it spit something else out and just keep doing that until you get the results that you're going for. And so that, I think that's good for individuals and companies, but for creatives, for videographers and people like myself, it's a challenge. It's something that we have to consider, going forward. I still don't think that you'll ever replace that one-on-one camaraderie that you have working with a local videographer, someone that's really trying to help you strategize your approach as opposed to just throwing it into AI and letting it see what it creates. So there's a lot of things that we individual videographers have to contend with the AI, but I think it can also be a tool. It could be a tool for us as well. But yeah, no, there's a lot of great resources out there, and each day there's like something new that drops onto the market that's just more mind blowing than the previous thing. So, what I've noticed too is I work in multicam, so I do like live production, like I work on the Opry and sporting events and things like that. And I've seen a lot of like robotic cameras.
Oh, really?
That are coming into play. So they're
interesting,
like literally replacing humans,
which we know is going to happen in a lot of different categories. This podcast might be listened to in 50 years, and they're like, it's not even a human listening to it anymore.
Yeah, right. Or hopefully maybe I'm wrong and maybe the technology doesn't catch on. But I mean, we've got robotic cameras in this room right now. I mean, to do a show like this 10, 15 years ago, you'd need cameras on tripods. You might need a camera operator, on each camera. You might need an audio mixer. There's one guy doing it all in here. It's amazing. It's a great studio.
That's because Jim McCarthy is the best podcast producer in Middle Tennessee.
I would say Jim has it going on in here. Yeah. This is a very nice facility. But it's AI is a tool, and it all depends on how you use it.
Okay, I'm going to bring this up. I think it's a topic for negotiation because I think it's a double-edged sword. I think most people probably do feel like AI is amazing, but there's also it's a double-edged sword. But I feel like even as we advance with artificial intelligence, as it advances, it's never going to be able to replace humans and the actual human side of it. And this is actually funny. I have a peer of mine who was saying he was using AI to help write some books, and they came back and cited some of these sources. I don't know what source he was using for AI. We'll just maybe it was ChatGPT. We'll go with that one. I think it was. And one of the sources they cited that AI sent him was a dead link, and so he said to ChatGPT, "Did you actually send me real links? Because this isn't working." And ChatGPT said, "You're right. I'm sorry. I was being lazy. I didn't look at the link. I just sent you. I was just being lazy. I know we've talked about this before. I'm sending a better link." So that's
ChatGPT.
Yes.
Said that.
And I don't know if it was ChatGPT. It was an AI source.
Okay.
That it's developing these human traits of halfway doing things, and that is scary. That we're going to depend on this technology that maybe not be really reliable. But I actually think the more we increase artificial intelligence, the more we actually crave as a human society, people. And going back to, and I've been saying this for a long time, going back to actually writing with paper and actually having human interaction. And I had a conversation with a client's secretary this morning because she emailed something, and I picked up the phone and just called her. And she said, "Yeah, we like to have everything print. We like to see things in print." I said, "Yeah, me too. And I prefer a phone call over an email. That's why I called you. Then this is the way humans want to interact." So it's almost like we're creating this hole because we have all this artificial intelligence that we're like, we need the human side more. And I don't know how that plays out. This is just my random thought on AI and what it's doing to us. So
I hope so. One thing I've noticed in like live sports and things like that, and like some companies just get away with robotic cameras. Like a lot of conferences, I've noticed, like you'd have two cameras at the back of the room, and they'd be zoomed into the person speaking on stage, and you'd have two human camera operators back there running the camera, and maybe that shot's going up to a big screen, for the conference or something in the big gala room or wherever they're in. What I've noticed now is they have cameras that are in the back of the room, and they're zoomed into the stage, but there's no humans on the cameras. They're kind of like these here, and they just track the person from left to right as they move about the stage, and they do a really good job, and no one's complaining about them. There's always the human error, where we get tired, we have a bad night or something like that. And, I've been filming those conferences, and it's a boring talk or something. I'm dozing in and out, and he might step out of my shot, and I've got to pan the camera over and get him, the robotic cameras will just track them, perfectly the whole time, no matter where they roam on the stage. And so it just kind of, I don't know. AI is really kind of spooky in my industry. It's really good sometimes. I still think there's going to be that human aspect. Like if you look at like football or maybe basketball, like there's just certain camera shots that humans still have to get, like the guys that have the cameras on their shoulders and doing the interviews and grabbing the guys coming from the locker room and stuff like that. Like you'd still need to have a human that can just kind of sense like what's important, what needs to be in the shot.
That's the point. Exactly what you said. They can sense what's important, and AI doesn't have emotions. There's no sensing whether it's in a conversation, because when you're in front of somebody and you're talking to a human, you're reading their verbal and nonverbal cues, and AI can't do that.
Yeah.
At least not as it exists today.
Yeah. Well, I always go back to football for some reason, but it's like maybe you've got like a big NFL playoff game, and I'm one of the camera guys. And let's say, the quarterback throws a touchdown and the best defender in the league misses the block or whatever. And it's like, as a camera operator, you have to kind of make that instinctual in the moment decision. Like, do I pan the camera to the quarterback and show his celebration, or do I pan the camera to the defender, the best guy in the league that missed the block, and show his disappointment? Or is it more about the quarterback that just made the winning throw? Like we as humans, we make those instinctual, and that's why we get paid a good amount of money, and like we're highly qualified, and like camera operators that shoot sports are very good at what they do. And they know the game, and they know where the story is. Can AI find the story? How can AI make that decision of in the moment? Like, where does the camera need to go? Like there's certain things about it that still gives me comfort and confidence moving forward. But it is right on our heels.
Yeah. I love everything you just said. I totally agree with all of that. So
everything we do moving forward, we just need to be careful on how we implement it and make sure that it doesn't replace humans, because there are certain cameras out there that look really good, and people are not complaining. And the people that used to operate those cameras, those humans are not being hired anymore. And it's just kind of unspoken.
Right.
So it's all about how we plan to utilize it. And I think we just need to be careful with it. It is a tool, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how things evolve. But I think there'll always be a human touch in some element, somehow, some way.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think the whole sensing. I think about it, if I'm going to do a video for my business, I definitely don't want AI doing that. I want a human who's going to give insight to that. And I mean, I'm not in my teens or 20s, so I definitely have an older line of thought there. And maybe these teens and 20-year-olds will think differently in 10 or 15 years about it when they're in that position. But
let me ask you, what do you think about AI? Like in your business?
Yeah.
Like, is it something that you use quite often?
Every day.
Or?
Yeah. And my team every day. And I'm constantly encouraging my team to use AI more and it's not to finalize everything. It's to support and take some of the work off. Right. So I think one of my favorite ways to leverage AI currently is if there's something I want to look up, let's say I'm taking on a new client that I'm consulting with and I don't know their industry at all. I know business, but I don't know their industry. And this is a great way, we use this all the time, is I want to learn everything I can learn about how that industry functions and what makes those businesses most successful. And AI gives me almost like the cliff notes of that so that I'm not digging all over the internet and searching different things. AI kind of compiles everything and gives me a lot of education in a very short period of time is one of my favorite ways to use it now, is for research and understanding. And also when I'm educating my team on something. So if I've got someone on my team that's taking on a task they have not done before, I will often say, you leverage AI to learn what you need to learn to do this, then come back and tell me what questions you have. So it gives me more efficiency because I'm not having to educate. I'm using it to educate on that. Then I'm clarifying after. So, but it can't remove me from it. It just helps make me more efficient.
It's not like you've lowered your staff count.
Correct.
You're You're just using it as a tool.
Correct. To make them more efficient.
You're not replacing humans with it. It's just it's a tool to make the staff you have now more efficient.
Exactly. My brother shared, I have 3 brothers. I love them all. They're all here. One moved to Ohio, so we're still crying over that. But the other 2 are here in Nashville and Nolensville. And my brother Mark is in Nashville, and I admire him tremendously. He's extremely intelligent. He's one of my favorite people to learn from and talk to and be around. And we just have this, we can talk business for a long time. And he was over a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about AI, and he, without going into too much detail, I'll just say that he shared an example of there's a process in place that up until now has taken a person 3.5 hours to complete each time they have to do it. And it's obviously a lengthy process for paperwork that needs to be completed. Well, they've created artificial intelligence that takes that 3.5 hour process down to 18 minutes.
Wow.
So think about companies that are going to leverage this tool and say, this 3.5 hours that we're paying someone, now they can all of a sudden do this 10 times in that 3.5 hours that it used to take them 3.5 hours to do. They can get 10 of these done. And so I think it's important for businesses to understand that you need to know what's happening, because the companies that adopt that artificial intelligence to support them in efficiency, they're going to skyrocket. And the ones that don't are going to fall behind and probably end up closing because they're not efficient enough to keep up. Their profit margins will die. And I don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but so it's amazing.
But do you feel like it's such a interesting time to be alive? Because like every day, like a new AI option comes out, or software or something like that. And it's like, how do you even navigate through all of the different tools and like resources that are available in this day and age? To me, that's the overwhelming part. I'm like, I know there's all these tools and there's all this stuff out there that exists that could make my job easier or my life easier. But it's like, where do I start? Like I've used ChatGPT a little bit. I use that for emails and a lot of stuff actually. But it's like, there's so many different tools. It's like, like we haven't talked about like CRMs for businesses. I run a CRM for my business. That's something that I used to just kind of operate with a notepad and a calendar. And I realized after reading a few books, like you need to have a CRM if you're a legitimate business. And so I don't know, like some days I'm like, where do I want to utilize AI more, but it's like, how do you narrow down like what should I subscribe to? Like what should I focus on? Like there's just so many tools, and it's an exciting time to be alive, but I don't know, how have you been able to like navigate through all of the, you just kind of found some things that work for you and just kind of stick to that. And
Yeah. And I'm always asking, remaining curious, like asking other people what they're doing. I love to learn. I hated school, but I'm an avid learner. And the sitting environment wasn't best or conducive to me. And I was never a good test taker. So I just struggled in school a lot, but I love to learn. And I love asking other people what they're doing. I find that I learned so much by just genuinely caring about what somebody's telling me and trying to surround myself with people that I think are smarter than me all the time and asking them a lot of questions about what they're leveraging. And I think using AI to tell us is another way. Like, tell me what's new that I need to know about, right?
There you go. You could just ask ChatGPT, like, what are the most relevant AI tools that I should be using today?
Yeah. But no, I mean, this might go a little bit deeper than you were intending with that question, but I think about how I spend my time. And I just share with you that I was spending time talking to my brother about business. And earlier I shared my parents live next door. And every morning my dad and I start our day by walking to the gym together, working out and walking back.
That's awesome.
It's the best gift. And we talk about business a lot. And I think the way I spend my time is I try to minimize like the small talk conversations and focus on actually in-depth conversations where you learn and can grow and be inspired. So people around us make us so much better if we surround ourselves with the right people. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, I mean, I feel like somebody needs to, and there probably exists, an AI newsletter of like, this is what's new. These are the new tools that are out like every day.
An AI podcast.
Maybe you should start one.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I might have too many irons in the fire at this point, but maybe down the road. Yeah.
Somebody needs to though.
Somebody should though.
Yeah. Because you're right. There's like, I think about just on my computer, I'm like, I know I'm so inefficient. There's things I need to do better on this that I need to like have somebody come in and organize for me and tell me how I'm wasting time because I'm doing it too old school, pen and paper, calendar, that kind of thing. But CRM is something that we talked about it for a second before we started, and then you just brought it up. And a lot of people aren't using a CRM. Can you talk about how you've used that in your business?
Absolutely. So when you're a freelancer, I don't care if you're a painter, plumber, whatever your occupation might be, I think you have to have a CRM. Yeah. Before I even knew what that meant, I was just, putting notes into my calendar, and I had notes loose on my desktop and stuff like that. And I would lose track of projects and commitments and things like that. And it wasn't a very efficient way to operate. And so what I've utilized, I use Monday.com.
Okay. I've heard of it.
And it's got a lot of AI tools built into it. So cool. If someone sends me an email about a potential job opportunity, that email automatically comes into the CRM, into Monday.com. And then their information goes into a spreadsheet called Leads.
Nice.
And then from there, I'm able to put in notes based on if we have a conversation or something like that about what they're looking for specifically in video. I can put those notes into the CRM. And it's just a way to keep everything organized. And I think if you're a small business, even a large business, you have to have it. Mm-hmm. And it's changed my life, and it's changed the way I do business, and I couldn't operate without it. So if you're a small business out there and you don't have a CRM, and also a CRM stands for Client Relation Manager.
Yeah, management. Yeah,
management.
Client Relationship Manager, Client Relation Management.
Yeah.
One of the
in that realm.
It helps you manage your client relationships.
There you go. So you have to have it.
Yeah,
and
you
there's a lot of different resources out there for them. But I like Monday.com. And they just keep coming out with new AI tools and integrations. Cool. So that's what I would recommend to most people out there that are maybe doing what I'm doing or
anything. I mean, honestly, really any business. Yeah. I have used One Page CRM and HubSpot. Mm-hmm. I actually use Keep, KEAP is the one that I use now.
KEAP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So
is that similar to like Google Keep?
Full transparency, I stay in my lane and my team handles all of that. So I don't know a whole lot about it because I don't even know how to log into it if I'm being fully transparent. And that's because I have a really awesome team that manages all of the things for me.
Dude, that's the goal in life, right? Just to have a great team around you that knows all that stuff.
And I just do what I'm good at and stay away from, in fact,
you're the captain of the ship.
Yes, I can't go back and like.
You got to steer the ship.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. You can't be down in the boiler room pumping in coal.
No, my assistant was gone for a week in Disney, and I had to put together a Canva document for a presentation. And she had already done a lot of it. I just needed to edit one slide. And I am not kidding you. It took me an hour and I still didn't do it right. I still had to have her go in and fix it. And so that's exactly why I don't touch the things I'm not good at. And at that point I said, Carrie, who's my longtime assistant and dear friend, she's been with me for, I think we're going on 7 years now. I said, Carrie, you have to hire somebody to support you because this is the last time you can go away without me having you there. So go find somebody that can be your assistant that can take the place when you're gone next time, because I can't do this without you. I can't live life without you. It's like oxygen. But Keep has been good. We like it. It has a lot of the integrated systems, but I remember the days when I had business cards and notes and 5 notepads and, it was just scattered in a hot mess. And interestingly enough, I work with business owners that own $2, $3, $4 million annual revenue businesses that don't have a CRM or haven't even heard of what a CRM is. And it's like, whoa, okay, let's rewind here, because if you have clients and you want to manage keeping up with your clients and taking care of them, a CRM is important. And if you want to gain new clients, a CRM is important. So yeah, CRM is super critical.
There's so many benefits to the CRM.
Yes. Takes it out of your head and puts it.
Yeah. It just kind of takes the ease out of trying to like just store all that in your own mind. And it gives you a safe place to go to whenever you need to access anything. And like it can generate like reminders like, hey, it's Thanksgiving week. Maybe you should send out a Thanksgiving email to your clients or something like that. Just to touch base, just to say hi kind of thing.
It's like an assistant kind of.
Yeah. Kind of like a virtual assistant. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that would be one thing I would recommend is you have to have a CRM in this day and age to really be efficient and keep everything organized. And
off your head, keep your head focused on, and that's the biggest thing.
Keep your head focused on the content, on
moving forward.
What you're providing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now with a CRM, it can be kind of intimidating to get started. It's actually not that hard. I always say to people, if you're trying to start something new, this is a perfect example of your let's say your photo album in your phone. Okay. So 99.9% of people do not have photos organized in their phone. They've got photos just on their camera roll, millions of photos. And to go find one is challenging. Then Apple does an update and then you really can't find anything because it's all in a different spot. And so if you were to say, I want to organize my photos, but you have millions that you have already, it's very overwhelming to think about where do I start. So I often just say, just start from today. Don't worry about what photos are already in there. Worry about the photos you take now. Start making albums for where you go forward. And so with the CRM, I would say the same thing. Don't worry about putting everybody in that you already have. Just start with your new contacts. Start putting people in there. And then you'll eventually gain enough traction that you're like, okay, now I can add all these other people.
Yeah.
But it's just about that starting point can be difficult.
Yeah, it can kind of be fun when you first dive into it because it's like, oh, this is making things easier. It's like, oh, I don't have to remember that in my own mind. It's like it's already stored in the CRM. It's like I can just come back to this reference at any point whenever I need to.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like the more information you put in, it's like the easier it kind of makes your life in a way.
Totally.
So it's kind of fun when you first, like, don't let it be intimidating. Just kind of see it as like a fun new tool that's going to change your life.
I love that. So I want to talk a little bit about your expertise and experience because you've done some pretty awesome things. Can you tell me, we're totally shifting gears here, but I want to bring it back to you. You just told me something that you have coming up that I think is pretty cool. So maybe talk about what work you have coming up that's exciting. And also, can you share maybe your top, I hate to say one, but maybe some of your top memories of experiences that you've had in your role of doing all that you do?
Okay. Yeah, sure. So like I said, camera operating as a freelancer, that's kind of my main bread and butter. The videography thing it's a business and that keeps me very busy, but my main focus is freelance camera operating. Yeah. And so that's allowed me to work on a lot of really neat projects. I've traveled the world. I got to do a figure skating junior level competition, and we did this for 7 years in a row.
Wow.
We went to Armenia, we went to Latvia, we went to Estonia, Thailand, Australia, Japan, and we would take around a small, they call it a fly pack, which is basically basically everything you would have in a real like big semi truck for a live TV show compressed into like a smaller pack that you can fly with. So we traveled to all these different countries and we would set up cameras around the ice rink, and it was a figure skating competition, and we streamed it to YouTube. And so I got to go to 20 countries with that job, and it was amazing. I got to do that in my 20s, and
perfect time for it.
And we just had so much fun. And then a little thing called COVID came along and caused our shipping costs to skyrocket and a lot of other things to skyrocket in terms of price. And so we just kind of got priced out of that gig. So that was the most fun and just amazing experiences that I've had in my career and in my life, was getting to do that. Domestically, I've worked on shows from NFL games to NASCAR to the Kentucky Derby. I'm actually leaving tomorrow to work the World Figure Skating Championships in Boston. It's a 9-day job. It'll be on NBC.
And it's at TD Garden.
It's at the TD Garden.
Yeah.
It'll be on NBC. Pretty much every skate, the pairs, the dance, the free ladies, the free men. So check that out if you get a chance. It's kind of fun.
That's amazing. And so what a cool thing that here in Middle Tennessee, business owners can have your level of talent and expertise that is doing projects like that, but they can also have you film them for their business. I think that's mind-blowing to think about what a gift that is to have you here in Middle Tennessee to be able to support with that and bring your expertise. So very cool. I have a couple questions. So 20 countries. I just finished this book called Die with Zero. And whenever I read about a book a week, and whenever I do, you start to filter life through that lens for that moment when you're, reading it. And one of the things that the message really is just about maximizing your life experiences is really what it is.
Okay.
I have not historically been great at, when I go somewhere, experiencing everything I can in that area. I took a trip to Hawaii last year for business, but it was really fun. It was a group of peers that were, we all really like each other. And it was hosted by the guy that he lives in Hawaii. His name's Mike. He lives in Hawaii, has a house and a rental house. And so we stayed in his rental house. And he had our schedule. We were only there for 4 days. I cannot believe the things I did in 4 days. And I remember being like, this is crazy. I'm going to be exhausted. I can't believe we're doing this. But a year later, I look back and go, I'm so glad I didn't lay on the beach in Hawaii and I did all these other things to see Hawaii. And so that is the way that I'm trying to move forward with, when I go somewhere, what can I see and do? We're going to Louisville tomorrow for my son's basketball tournament. We'll travel a lot this season for basketball. My son, Ben, plays ball. And for Carlos English, who's amazing. We love Carlos. And I'm like, what can we see? Oh, there's Muhammad Ali's museum. Let's go see that. The Ark is there. And, all these cool things. So I'm curious, did you maximize your experiences in all these countries and do things? Because I think you probably did.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you did.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite?
We set out like that was our main intention.
Cool.
It was like, okay, we're going to Yerevan, Armenia. Okay, we've got 3 days here. What time do you guys want to get up tomorrow? 8 a.m., 7:30? Start walking around,
Yeah.
It was like, what can we see? What can we walk to? What can we experience in the 3 days? We did just that.
And how old were you?
Maximized
like in early 20s?
I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's in this book, Die with Zero. His name is, I think it's Bill Perkins is his name. He actually talks about like what you do in your 20s. Like the example would be like going to Europe and traveling on the Eurail and staying in hostels. Like you're not going to want to do that in your 40s. Like you're going to be like, I'm kind of over that part of life. Right. But in your 20s, everything is so much more enjoyable because you just have this different level of standard for yourself of what you'll accept.
Yeah.
Sleep on couches and things like that. So
that's true.
You did it at right? Like but there's a lot to think about. The book is it's kind of long and repetitive a little bit, but it's worth reading. It makes you think a little differently. But sounds like this journey in the video world has taken you literally all over the world.
Yeah, I've been so blessed.
That's so
fortunate. Cool. When we traveled overseas, I had a buddy. His name was Donnie, and he was kind of like the I guess like the leader of the schedule. His main focus was like we were in Rome, I think, for 2 days, and we saw it all. Cool. We went to the Vatican. We went to the Colosseum. Like we made pretty much every monument. Like, and he planned all that out. And that was like our goal was like, how much can we experience in these 2 days? And that's kind of the way to, I think, live life too, in a way, because I think we get one life, and it's up to you to determine how you want to live it. And it's a beautiful world, and there's a lot to see. And I grew up on a farm in a very isolated community, and so now that I have the opportunity to get out and see this grand world, I try to take advantage of it whenever I can. I'll be in Boston, like I said, next week, and I think I've got 1 day off while I'm there, and my intention is to go out and get seafood and have coffee down by the bay and just live like a Bostonian, for a little bit, and just be immersed in that culture, and then move on to the next thing. So
you're going to love it. So I went to college in Boston. I went to Suffolk. And I lived on Beacon Street. I lived on Tremont Street. I worked right outside Fenway Park, worked and waited on tables and bartended on lots of Red Sox players. And I could walk to Fenway Park from my apartment. My sophomore year, my freshman year was when the Patriots dynasty, and the parade was right outside Tremont Street building.
That's
and
awesome.
If you dropped me in Boston, I would find my way where I am. I could still, without a phone, I could still figure it out. It's not a real well-organized city, but it is not really that big either. But there's so many cool things you have to do when you're there.
Nice.
You got to go to Mike's Pastries. I'm sure you've heard of that. Maybe not. It's in like the Italian part of Boston, but Mike's Pastries, there's usually a line out the door. It's amazing. You'll have to text me a list after this recording. Actually, I totally will. I'll send you. Okay. I'll send you the things that like you have to see. But it's funny. You're going to TD Garden, so home of the Celtics. So go Boston. But I spent 5 years with Nike, and the Converse building is where I was telling you this earlier. It's right across from TD Garden, and I flew in there pretty much every month for years and years and years to go work with the home office team. And it's such a beautiful city. You're going to love it.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait to hear about it. So you're doing all these awesome things. So that's what's next, figure skating. If someone wants to get in touch with you and ask you questions, I assume that you would do a discovery call with someone if they want, right? Like you'll talk through what they want for their business and talk about how you could help them. What's the best way for someone to get in touch with you, Austin?
Just go to my website.
Okay.
austinboylen.com. Boylen.
We'll put everything in the show notes too.
And just send me a message.
Cool.
I generally respond, as soon as I can, unless I'm on a camera.
Yeah.
And like I can't get to my phone. Yeah. I've got both hands on the camera, but I try to. I'm the type of person, like, I reach out to a lot of people, and I kind of get sad when someone doesn't text me back promptly. Kind of makes me disappointed, because I'm like, I'm out here putting out all this effort. Like I'm trying to text people back and be efficient, but nobody else is that way.
Yeah.
So I'm very quick to get back to people. So just send me a message and let's start a conversation, and we'll try to figure out the best way to utilize video to to create solutions for your company.
Yeah.
Or use an individual.
Awesome. Well, it's been such a pleasure to know you over the last couple of years and work with you, and,
Likewise.
Get to know you on a, thank you, and get to know you on a I know your girlfriend. And
well, you're inspiring too.
Thank you.
How hard you work and all the efficiencies that you have going. And like, I want to pick your brain sometime. No, really.
Well, I'm staying after this. Jim's going to interview me, so I'm going on his show after this. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you. And it's been so awesome to just be around you and get to know you. And I highly recommend your work. If you haven't checked him out, go to austinboylen.com. Check out. He's on Instagram, YouTube, anywhere there's going to be video, he's going to be there. But go to his website, and he's as easygoing and real in person as he seems on this show. And so if you're a business owner or an aspiring business owner, reach out and see what that can look like for you. Austin, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for joining today. Thanks for listening. That's been an episode here of the Lyndsay Stafford Show featuring local legends. Today it was Austin Boylen with Austin Boylen Cinematography. So please share, like, rate, review, comment, screenshot, download. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say, but do all the things.